Chinyereze Namada Poyenaya Oye Chinyereze Namada Poyenaya Oyoyo.
Finally, let's have a word. Invited, yes.
Zik of Africa, Zik of Nigeria, Zik of the world, Zik the icon. In letters, in competence, in oratory, in sagacity. Once again, we gather to remember, as he still speaks to us, in our struggle for nationhood, in our struggle for peace, in our struggle for unity, in our struggle for development. Once again, we gather to remember that we may not falter or strive with courage, with wisdom, in brotherhood, in faith, that the labor of our heroes past, that the labor of the great Zik of Africa transform and transcend our endless search for peace and nationhood. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Chineloma Ojukwu Rene Andreas, staff of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, and I'm here to perform this spoken word poetry written by Pamela Wazu Moma, Deputy Director of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. The title is Zik of Africa. Zik of Africa, father of Zikism, father of modern Nigerian nationalism. Zik of Africa, premier of Nigeria's eastern region, Governor General of Nigeria. Zik of Africa, first Nigerian named to the Privy Council, first President of Nigeria. Zik of Africa. Awalanze Society of Onitsha. Oziziani Obi. Zik of Africa. Owele Sawanya. Ndi Zulume. Red Captain. Zik of Africa. Grand Commander of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Real leader of Nigerian politics. Zik of Africa. Nnamdi. My father is alive. Indeed, he's alive in our deeds and undeeds. Zik of Africa, a real scion of Nigeria, an embodiment of Nigeria, an embodiment of Africa.
our very immortal, Right Honorable Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, our very excellent Right Honorable Baldwin, Prime Minister Antigua and Barbuda, Your Excellencies here present, Your Royal Highnesses, my lords, spiritual and temporal, captains of the academia and industry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while unreservedly thanking you for this honor done me, let me confess how petrified I feel at being hoisted on this pedestal to chair this occasion celebrating immortality. Immortality, yes! Immortality, yes! Because to live in the hearts of those who love you is not to die. I am also being assailed by a numbing feeling of humility and inadequacy at the opposite remarks to give on this occasion. This is normal, very normal, for a man whose immortal words, no matter who you are or what you are, be the best of who or what you are. Ed, in his famous book, My Odyssey, was very sufficient to spur me on in life. I had clung tenaciously to those words, which have ever since remained an elixir to me throughout life. It can also not be otherwise for a man of whom my own father, Ojukwu, confessed, practically groomed him on his laps. In his book, Because I'm Involved, 1989. I had just returned to Nigeria from the United Kingdom, where I had gone to attend an event organized to celebrate Dim Ojukwu. When I got this message to attend today's event and chair it, I could not pass it on, despite weariness from travel. I quickly appropriated it, even though I did not initiate the planning. For what he stood for what he did for all of us, I will celebrate this grandfather, of whom my father called father. Then, on my strength and my power as the chairman of today's occasion, let me welcome you all to Nnamdi Azikiwe Day 2012. Enrich your minds under the spiritual guidance of this avatar. Thank you and God bless you all.
Another round of applause for such a wonderful artist. That charity begins at home, as they say. And Zik, a native of Onitsha in Anambra State, and as Owele, we have this traditional thing of kola nut breaking. The only problem with kola nut is that it does not hear English. So those who cannot understand Igbo, please bear with us. May I call the Ndigbo of Lagos State, the Hycinth of Ohazulike, for breaking a kola nut.
It doesn't hear Yoruba language, it doesn't hear Hausa language, hence the person knows it is an Igbo man. Whatever I'm going to say here is very, very good of every one of us. All I'm doing, I am man. Nobody can Nigeria, but I could take you. No more Georgia, Chineke. I am racist geopolitical zone of Nigeria. Was also southeast, capital 5 states. The amendment must start here. Open state, Ndigbo. Remezo Nkai easy and the Ozati. Udoni Funaya Nabawaye, the Nigeria. I'm over Nigeria. And I show you unity of this country. When they are making them, without speaking water, and my Ojukwu that there will be able to be. Come dying, but wouldn't be changed. I would have done that Azikiwe and Guagua and Albania. Open our production of one Nigeria. I and the Western Cameroon. I can't have one contact. They give them one way. But I can't the South Africa book. But I think it should have one Nigeria. And one Nigeria among the complete. More than any working Lula. Nobody nine Lula. And I'm not teaching like a people, but you know, Mediaka, who don't live in Nigeria, man, and Tiaka be your guy. No, I don't want Facebook. Upon somebody, only here what I'm going to get up, I see you to work. Ojukwu, ndị nọ na ga ga-ekwu ya mbi. Onye ndị na-achị achị, n'ihe ji ya ewu na-emewu ndị Igbo. Na ị gaghị oke anyị ozuo Nigeria agaba n'ihu. Ana ọ bụkwa na onye Igbo ndị chi Nigeria ọchịagharị ya. Ihe dịkwa iche ga-adị. Ihe a na-ekwu fuel subsidy. Onye oyibo ka a na-asụ ya. Ọ dịkwa ebe ahụ mgbe ịchagharị. Ọ dịkwa mgbe Buhari. Ọ dịkwa mgbe Babangida. Ọ dịkwa mgbe Olusegun Obasanjo bụ nwoke. Ọ dịkwa mgbe Yar'Adua. Ụlọ afọ ihe dị iche na-eme kịta. Ọkwadị na onye ikuku ndị Igbo kwụsịrị nọ nga aka anyị na-eme na ego anyị si nga ha agwụ. I am not Igwe, so I have to stand up. You know, if you have grown in Yoruba land, traditionally worships Ndigbo land. The Hausas eat Ndigbo land. I also concur and pray that the Almighty God will give us succor, will give us direction, and we will have peace in Nigeria. The chairman, when I entered, and I saw him and heard him, I remembered his father, the chief of the old block. Absolutely splendid. Not only his courage, but his belief. God is a wonderful God. I congratulate you for sharing this auspicious occasion. I have known over the years, my brother here, a complete Igbo man who is concerned about good governance, who has no colors or tribalism in him, because he is so concerned that there must be development in this country. God bless you. To my state chairman, who has honored this occasion. My brother there, I was so happy when I saw him in the typical Udoka. He's our son too in Lagos because he grew up here. But I know his major concern has been to get home. Hopefully someday will be the governor of Abia. Also say to my dear brother to pass compliments to the distinguished Senator Antigua. It's a pity she's not here, but we had what she said. Mine is divided into two parts. The first is to talk about Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe as a child. Witnessed a few of his campaign in Lagos. I knew he worked very closely with my great-granduncle. And secondly, I would like to talk about the present-day governance in Lagos. So, those two issues will be my focus. And while I want to thank the organizers of this occasion, I'd like to remind ourselves that the success or the failure of a leader will be on the pages of history. So easily about our past, our leaders, those who fought for the independence, those who have the focus of what they wanted Nigeria to be. Like he was
correctly said, something is amiss. They will be chuckling in their graves today that is not the Nigeria they are born from them by Fashola. My appeal now is to the men and women of the law enforcement agencies who have been detailed to enforce this dirty, conceptualized Lagos State traffic law. Please stop treating fellow Nigerians as if they are not human beings. Dragging them across the roads, battering them with gunpots, and even shooting them as if they are in some kind of war zone. It is totally unacceptable. It is unserving. It is wrong. It is against all norms and ethics of civilized policing. Wọ́n ní tí a bá rán ni ní iṣẹ́ ẹrú ńkọ́. If you are sent on a slave's errand, act like a freeborn. Now, gentlemen, what is the alternative for the Okada riders? Should they go to hell? Is it what government is all about? Is this the ultimate mission of leadership? The Okada riders come from all walks of life. There are graduates, artisans, bankers, school teachers, mechanics who are forced to this line of employment. And they come from all ethnic groups. There are Igbos, Yorubas, Hausas, thieves, and other tribes on this God-given earth called Nigeria who ride Okada for a living. What do you do now about them? We should pretend they don't exist, or we should merely dissipate and melt away into the horizon. I don't think they will vanish. They will surely remain with us as long as their services are crucial to the metropolitan demands of Lagos. Indeed, a good leader must be like a good shepherd. We must lead with instinct. We must lead with concern and a milk of kindness. We must have a wise, absolute grasp of the terrain so that the people are not pushed beyond the cliffs. We must lead with prompt, sensitive consciousness. Surely, the leader cannot and must not withdraw into a reckless, omniscient hubris, pretending he knows better than everyone else. This is definitely the beginning of destruction. The leader must therefore be humbled enough to know that he too must learn from the people that he governs. Leadership, of course, is a privilege and it is not a right. This is the only way our society can grow and develop. This is the only way we can establish a true and authentic nation where everyone will be proud with emblems of a progressive union. Finally, our journey is still far. The road to national salvation is still rough and tortuous. But there is a redemption at the end of the horizon. Only if we endure. Only if we work hard. Only if we show commitment and absolute faith in ourselves and in our nation. The challenge is now before all of us. We must now choose between the ennobling ideal of painful self-sacrifice or the quick and petty shortcut of personal gains. We must choose between the crass love for riches or the more redeeming love for our nation. The choice is ours, but we dare not choose wrong. This lecture that was prepared was in memory of our late leader, a nationalist by excellence. He traveled the length and breadth of this country. An Igbo man born in Zingiri, in the northern part of this country, grew up in Lagos, served this nation. There is no other tripod that you can have other than him. His memory must live on. Thank you.
Shall we rise and give him a wonderful Your Excellency, thank you so much.
Okay, I'll ask him. Okay,
and the beautiful women east of the Niger that are present here. Good afternoon. I stand in the representative capacity representing Senator Florence Giwa OOM, who is presently in Calabar participating in the consultations of the Constitutional Review. The National Assembly Constitutional Review Committee for her geopolitical zone is presently in Calabar, and she had to be with them, seeing as it is that she has pressing political issues to iron out concerning her people at the castle. But she has written a speech which I have been directed to give on her behalf. So, if I may at this time, ladies and gentlemen, with the kind permission of our chairman, proceed. Thank you, sir. The address by Senator Florence Giwa OOM at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Day commemoration, 16th of August 2012. I must confess that I felt particularly elated at the invitation to speak at this most auspicious occasion of the commemoration of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Day. My elation stemmed in the main from my personal recollections of the great man in whose honor we are gathered. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was in many ways to me a source of inspiration, and dare I say, a source of sustenance. Yes, indeed, sustenance, as he was my late mother's boss. My mother, Chief Beatrice Bassi, of blessed memory, was one of Nigeria's pioneer female journalists, and for many years worked as a journalist in the Zik group of newspapers. So, as my mother's employer, the great Zik indirectly contributed to my upbringing. And dare I say, he would be very proud of what I later turned out to be. My late mother's involvement with Dr. Azikiwe transcended employee-employer relations. My mother was in every sense of the word a loyal Zikist and belonged to the Zikist movement, an organization devoted to the propagation of the political philosophy of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. This aspect of my mother's life, perhaps more than anything else, is responsible for my entry into the political terrain. In fact, my mother was such a loyal Zikist that even after the overthrow of the First Republic, she remained a committed follower of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe and continued to work as the Eastern editor for the Zik group of newspapers in Port Harcourt and Aba, which at the time, the Zik group of newspapers included the West African Pilot and Morning Post, both papers for which she worked and was Eastern editor of. This led to my mother and I being caught up on the Biafran side of the Civil War, where we remained until the end of the war. I also recall that the late Margaret Ebo, who was very close to my mother, was also an avowed Zikist. All this buttresses my conclusion that in addition to the many qualities of the late great Zik of Africa, he was also a champion of feminine rights. Here was a man who nurtured my mother's professional career and saw her blossom into a consummate professional, rising to the exalted office of editor at the time. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe's influence on my life and trajectory as a politician can be said to be overwhelming. I remember very vividly the last encounter I had with him in the early 90s. I was part of the presidential campaign delegation of the then National Republican Convention that visited him in Nsukka with the NRC presidential candidate of the time, Alhaji Bashir Tofa. The great Zik singled me out for special mention as he told all present how proud he was of me. He led on that I had taken the logical next step in the political evolution of my mother, who by then had passed on, to become an elected member of the House of Representatives. Praise from such exalted quarters has a way of propelling one to greater heights. I can therefore say without equivocation that the late great Sikh of Africa played a pivotal role in my political evolution. The acute absence of political actors of equal charisma and sagacity of the likes of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe in this day and age is, to say the least, lamentable. It is my belief that fora such as this, that celebrate the life and times of charismatic leaders like Zik, will trigger some of our current political actors to higher ideals and lead to the replication of the enduring qualities of the great man who we celebrate today, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. Thank you once again for the honor of speaking at this most auspicious of occasions. Senator President Florence,
Barack Obama was prepared. It is only in this country that people are reluctant to put forward themselves for presidency or for governorship positions. People must prepare. You must tell the Nigerian people what you are going to do. They must look at your antecedents, where you are coming from. We should not allow this country to be hijacked by 419 people. Nigeria is too good for this. I want to say thank you to all of you, my Yoruba brothers and sisters, my Igbo kin and kin. I say thank you and God bless you.
The distinguished chairman, the person of Chief Ojukwu Jr., we actually enjoy your delivery. My own and my indefatigable Chief or Labode Church, the actor of I want to thank you very much for the wonderful delivery you did. May God continue to bless you. Chief Mrs. Antigua is down here, but she was ably represented by my dear brother Patrick Dog. Thank you very much for being here. My own dear brother, Chief Orochie, thank you for your contribution. And the biggest man spirit comes last, in the person of our own dear Igwe of Africa. Attached to the cola. Thank you very much. And on behalf of the organizers of this special event, that we have to celebrate a great mind, a nationalist, and somebody to emulate in life for Nigeria to grow. I want to thank everybody present, and may God continue to bless you all. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
But they say I want from me to give me 1-2 minutes to say why his book was so much sought after.
Very much. Igwe, the chief of the old block. Thank you, sir. A historian by accident. My father was a railway man. Started from Lagos here, and I lived around the country, and therefore I speak six languages of Nigeria. In the process, I was able to understand there are similarities between Nigerian language and other languages.